Alright. Hi.
I never said anything about Big Fruit.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Alright, so we had a weird sound loop going on before. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh yes, my pleasure.
So let me introduce you to our class. Mr. Beasley, this is our public speaking class. We are currently working on Ignite speeches. You guys want to say hi? Hi! So we're in Ionia, sort of halfway between Lansing, Grand Rapids area. And students, we've been watching Ignite speeches, and we have put together sort of the basics of our slide deck, but we need help. Please, dear God, help us. So any advice that you have for practicing, preparing, putting together an Ignite talk would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, sure. Well, I can start in on this. If it sounds like I'm not being very helpful, you can cut in and push me in a different direction or just straight up ask me questions. But so I've been organizing. I did Ignite talks. I first started years back, like maybe more, probably 5-ish years. And for the last few years, I've been organizing an event locally for me. It's in Ann Arbor, where we have like 12 to 16 speakers giving their talks. So I've seen a whole bunch of talks. I've given them myself. I've helped out some other people. And a lot of people approach it differently. The thing that I think works pretty well is like always remembering you hardly get to say anything. Like, think of an idea, then like cut it in half, and then maybe like think about whether that's even too big. It's like really just thinking about what is the one thing that I want to say to people, and then just building the whole talk around that one point that you want to make. I found it very helpful to actually like write out a script. Now, it doesn't mean that I have to like just read it out loud word for word to people, but it really helped me thinking about the timing, and it really made it clear that like you get to say maybe like one long sentence or a couple of sentences per slide. It really reminds you that you know, that time that you have is very short. And I've seen a lot of speakers get, you know, they're just unprepared for how quickly things are going to move. You know, like they put together some slides, they think about what they're going to say, but you know, they don't. It looks like maybe they haven't practiced it a whole bunch, or they never really like had a clear idea of what exactly they would say. And so when they're in the moment and they're kind of nervous, it just goes out the window, and they just they go too long and they never catch up. And so when I practice, I do go from the script, so that, you know, when it's actually time to give the talk, I mean, you know, I'm like close enough. Like I'm basically saying what's in that script. And I always found it very helpful to remember you don't have to fill every moment with your voice. And this is good speaking in general. You don't have to fill every moment. Silence really helps you out. It helps emphasize points. It helps make everything else you say more important, you know, because you're not putting as many words out there. And so when you're thinking about how much to say per slide, don't be afraid to keep it brief. Have the confidence that if you only fill up 10 seconds of a 15-second slide, have the confidence that you can wait it out for those 5 seconds while it goes on to the next slide. It's going to seem like a long time to you, but that's just your perception of it. When you're out in the audience, you want these things to be good. You're not paying attention to like counting off seconds. You're just you're eager to get to the next point. Yeah, that's kind of that's really the general rule. I don't know. Did that kind of get at your question?
Yeah. So we've gone through, and they have created sort of storyboards where they have like written out, and some students have written out like almost word for word what they're going to say. Others have done more of like a bulleted point. So we're at the point where we're starting to practice a little bit, and I think that's like you figure out when you start to actually practice it, like what works and what doesn't work.
Oh yeah, practicing, that's the key. Just practice, no matter what your style is, whether you like to write word for word or whether you just want to come up with some bullet points. And you got to run through it with a stopwatch or you know, whatever, and time it out. Yeah, I wish it was more magic than that. It really is just try it out, see what happens.
Do you guys have any questions?
The best way to come up with an idea or a topic for the Ignite speech.
Did you hear that?
Yes, the best way to come up with a topic. You know what? That is a hard question, and the unsatisfying answer I'll give is like, do anything else other than sit there and try to think of an idea. Sit there and think about it for a little while, and go do something else that you like, or that's important, or it's distracting. Exercise, you know, homework, something fun, whatever. Your brain will thank you, and it will, you know, that's the key to actually like thinking of stuff in the long run, is to give your brain time to like process stuff in the background, because you know our brains keep on working on stuff even when we're not like actively thinking about it. So it kind of increases the chances that a good idea will pop into your head. And kind of on the flip side, like, yeah, I understand you can't just like always wait around for inspiration to happen. So I guess the other thing I would say is like, don't be afraid of the bad idea. And like, if you think of something, you're not sure that it's a great idea, but it's like if it's the best you can come up with, just try to flesh that thing out. See if you can make it work, because you may actually, while you're trying to write up slides, you know, trying to write a presentation around that idea that you're not happy with, you might you might find a way to make it work, or you might actually like think of a better angle or you know, a better perspective on that topic if you know, work at it for a while. And that's kind of like for all writing, really. It's important to just get something down on paper, no matter what it is you're trying to writing, and then, you know, just iterate on from there.
You have other questions? Our class is not normally this quiet, and all of a sudden it's like super quiet.
I gave the final word on the subject. You couldn't see it because my hand was out of the camera, but I dropped a microphone.
Do you have a favorite Ignite talk that you've heard or seen?
Oh boy. You know, I'm trying to think back to the ones that I've seen over the last few years from the event I work on. For boring context, I'm a user experience architect. So I work on like understanding user behavior and trying to design like websites and sometimes other stuff better. And so the event that I work on is all oriented around kind of like user experience topics. So understanding how to research people's behavior on websites and how to like make it better. And I don't know. Specifics are kind of eluding me, but I always really enjoy it when people come up with like the really visual ones, where it's just, you know, 20 like engaging pictures in a row. Like for this format, like, you don't need to spend a lot of time showing words to people. It's going to distract them from watching you. And so unless you really, really want to emphasize, like on one slide, if you just want to like emphasize the very point of your talk with like a short phrase, like, I don't know, that my favorite talks have all been very, very visually oriented, and that's always something I have a hard time with, because I'm not like a visually oriented person in that way. I never think of good pictures to show. So, boy, I wish I could point you at like a specific talk that was really, really cool, but they are just escaping me at this point. But I've seen some good designers put together some really cool looking talks.
Well, that's actually one of the things that we've been talking a little bit about too. That idea of limiting the words that you've got on the screen, that so as to avoid sort of the death by PowerPoint kind of feel. Cool. Do we have any last questions?
Is he gonna do an Ignite talk for us?
Do you hear that one?
Oh no, I didn't.
He's like, "Are you going to do an Ignite talk for us?"
Oh, I had nothing prepared. Although I love the idea of the kamikaze Ignite talk, which I am not going to do right now. But no, just totally ambush people. Tell them, all right, we prepared 20 slides for you. You haven't seen them before? Go do it right now.
I had to do that at a conference. We had to stand up in front of a conference this past summer, and we pitted groups against one another, and it was just that 20 slides that you didn't know that you had to give a speech on. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, awesome, terrifying, fun.
Oh yeah.
The way fun maybe should be. I don't know.
It was actually at Michigan State too.
Oh, yes. Good people there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Bye.